we can now decide which of these 4 variants, if not all of them, we want to put in our report. And to do that, I'm going to open up our Reports tab. This is, again, the new feature we're talking about today, VS Reports. And what this has is a report. We call these report templates selected here, and you can have a different template for different tests that you may have in your lab. It can be linked to your project and your workflow, so if you customize one for different tests, you can be running different tests throughout the day. And it pulls in information about the sample that you're currently looking at, and we can have a lot of this auto-filled in from things that are computed from the project, such as these target regions. These are actually the coverage regions, read depth and panel coverage that we just computed and we're just looking at for the sample. And you can even pull in some other information if you, on import or through VS Pipelines automation, applied extra field information to the sample level. So in this case, we need to then, and this is the critical interface of what the hands-on human experience is saying, which of these variants do I put in my report, and what's the final result? Is it a negative finding? No variants conclusively supported it. Noticed we can actually have report components be responsive to the input here. So let's say we find this to be a primary finding. And we're going to select our red check boxes go into our primary findings section, and our green check boxes here go into our incidental findings. And this gets rendered into the report. And we can say by default, let's set all of these 4 variants to our primary findings. That just checks all these conveniently. Notice what happened automatically down here was that we just filled in these 4 variants into our list, and it auto-fills in information about that variant into its interpretation. This is very editable, and you can change the final classification. So we might do things like look at some of the extra annotations we have here. We didn't filter on these, but we have some functional predictions. These predictions are from things like SIFT and polyphen, these algorithms that say whether they, in a computational biology sense, believe that this missense mutation alters the protein function. In this case, we have 5 different tools here, and 5 out of 5 predicted these as tolerated or not damaging. So let's take these out of our report. So by clicking on that box, I basically remove it from this list. But I might want to add them to my incidental findings section. So let's go ahead and change that and add them there. And that adds them to this list of green variants which go down here. So now let's say I'm happy with this. I might also change this final classification to likely pathogenic, or however you may find it, looking at the other annotations. Let's go ahead and with one click get our rendered report. And again, this has information about the sample, the coverage information, our findings, our primary results. For each primary result, we break out and have that rich set of annotations. This was all pulled in from OMIM as well as our other annotations in our project. So things like the frequency information from our annotation source. All these hyperlinks can be followed through this. If we're looking at this from a web interface perspective, here's our incidental findings and our background information and our references. And we can go ahead and save this out as a PDF. So this is our final report for 7.8 Rep 1, and have that as a final deliverable, or we could stick with the HTML version with the hyperlinks, etc. So in fact, the hyperlinks, yeah, so that allows you to, and really the customizability of this is something we'll get into in the future and the rest of this webcast, but there's a lot of ways that you can output